Well, that's it. Carrick has the backing of Gibson, but is it the right decision? Lee says, up the Boro. We move on to the next game. We still believe in our MC. We'll see you at Bristol. But are all fans so behind him? Carrick's getting back. Is this right? We've got Jonathan and Craig with us this week to discuss this. Thank you very much for joining us. If you think it's the wrong decision, please hit the like button there. We want to just gauge just how unpopular or popular this is. And there's lots of talk this week, but some of the new signings have been garbage so far. So we'll get into some of the discussions around that, including the lad from Aston Villa, who's, as one tweet says, looks like he hasn't come from Aston Villa, so he's come from Walsall. Who deserves to be promoted? We'll get Middlesbrough views on the top four. And what is the worst ever Middlesbrough kit? You've had some shockers in your past, but we're going to be having a look at the end of the video at some of them. Welcome to Where Boro Walk. It's episode 29, and it's 20 minutes of easy Boro chat. Jonathan, there's lots of podcasts that have all done this to death, so apologies for going over it again. But following the Watford result, when you're walking away from the Riverside, what was going through your head?
You know what? Initially, and I was Carrick out. I have to say, I didn't like it at all, and I've never been a Carrick out kind of person. But I'll be honest, after 24 hours, I changed my mind, and I thought, no, stick. So I wasn't happy with the performance at all. I was curious, actually. I didn't get to listen to the lads before, Watford lads. Did they think they were great, or thought we were rubbish?
Both. No, they said you could have scored at the end. They made some bad substitutions and let you into it. It was their view on it. But Craig, what camp are you in now?
I'm at the point now where I've kind of given up hope of the playoffs. Not given up hope. We're still there, 24 points. But he needs to change something, whether it be get someone in the back room to give it a bit more defensive coaching, or just a different voice, I think, because something's turned in the last 2 months, and it's poor. It's getting really bad, and you can see the confidence just drain from the players. I mean, I don't want him gone. I still think he can turn it around, because we have gone on under Carrick. We've done a lot of runs. We've went on winning runs, unbeaten runs, and poor runs as well. So I think he can turn it around, but somewhere has to give.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. If you'd have said to me in December that Middlesbrough would go on and lose 5 out of 6 championship games, including home games to teams they shouldn't be losing to, Jonathan, you'd have laughed at me, wouldn't you?
Yeah, big time. We've always, we had a lot of confidence coming into the season, and rightly so. We saw how Carrick had developed players. We saw when we've been on winning runs, but we were always aware of defensive frailties, and that's been the bigger point. And it's a historic thing, isn't it? If you can't defend at the back, you ain't going to, you're not going to get promoted. And it was interesting, the turnaround in the sense of Watford. So at first 10 minutes, we had a fair bit of possession, and it was safe possession in my book. And then I've just felt it in the players. As soon as Watford got the ball and had a bit of possession, you could almost feel the nerves in the crowd across the team. The confidence just isn't there. And you just felt like Watford had a chance as soon as they got the ball, because of what we've had the last 5 or 6 games. So it's a big confidence issue, massively.
All right. Let's have a look at some social media, shall we? Sean, of course, is missing tonight. Thanks for Sean. Says, I'm very proud that we aren't a hire and fire club, and we're sticking by a head coach who is still developing. But I'm also concerned about our alarming form. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. Come on, Boro. And is that the problem we've got, Craig, with some fans now? Some fans are saying, well, you can't have Boro and say you can't have Carrick and say everything's okay. You've either got to be, Carrick out and you're actually happy with stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke last week about the January transfer window, and I was thinking about players going out. And we were talking last week about the business of the club, and long term, it's improving and it's good. So if we don't go up, it's not the end of the world. We just go again next season. But when I think about like Clark leaving, and I think last season we went on a bad run around Christmas, early spring. Clark came in and he was almost one of our better performers. We went to a back 3, and Carrick changed the formation, and that kind of clicked. We kept clean sheets and went on a big run, and I'm thinking we can do that again, but we can't now. If that makes sense. It's like the financially it doesn't make sense to keep him, so we'll flog him. We'll get the money in January, a couple of $100,000, I think Derby paid for him in the end, and cut our losses. But inevitably it's kind of affecting them, affecting the starting 11 performances, and the options aren't there to change.
It is madness. Let's have a couple more. Cheers for that, Sean. Luke says there's a grown-up. There is actually some grown-ups at Middlesbrough. It seems sacking culture has become too normalised in football. The book doesn't just stop with the manager. You simply can't get rid of someone who develops players as well as Carrick does, which I think is what you were saying, Jonathan, or wins over 40% of games. You have to back him. As dreadful as Carrick is, sacking him achieves nothing, says Chris, without the entire backroom team going too. Kieran Scott has arguably left him to dry with an unbalanced and top-heavy squad with extortionate loans that we now feel we have to play in head of contracted players. It is a total mess. We'll come on with some of those loans in a minute, Jonathan, but do you agree with what Chris is saying here?
I don't know. Kieran Scott. I don't know about Kieran Scott. I've always liked Kieran Scott. I've said it on here before, and you're not going to get 100% right. You're not going to get every transfer right. You're not going to hit every target you want. But I'd say he's got more right than wrong. And I'd laugh going for 20 odd million. I guess you've got to take the money. If you look at our kind of spreadsheets and the balance sheet and that, I guess that was inevitable. I'm with you though, Craig. Clark going, given that we need defenders. Now, I know at the beginning of the season, I've got to say, Clark was always getting dragged out of position to the left-back position, and that cost us quite a few goals at the beginning of the season. And I would like to have seen more defensive players come in, I have to say. And I'm fingers crossed that Lenihan might make an appearance before the season's ended as well, because I like him a lot.
Okay. Some other views now, obviously the flip side of it. Swinny Bottom says, Craig, its time is up. Since his first season, when it wasn't his team, we have gradually gone backwards. Defending has clearly drastically declined. The longer he stays, the worse we are getting. He's a coach. He's not a manager. And he can't and he won't change systems. We've heard this before about this idea of a coach and a manager, but Craig, you coming around to Swinny Bottom's line of thinking here?
I don't know, because he has kind of coached the team and he has made changes along the way. I mean, the first season that he came in to his second season, he changed. There was just a few changes tactically, and it clicked and it worked. And then there has been teams that have found us out, like Coventry. Oh, God's sake, Coventry always beat us. Rotherham always beat us. Like Burnley always gets something off us. Blackburn. So there's teams that have kind of worked us out, no matter how we play, and do it. But like, when Aaron Danks left in the summer, I kind of like didn't really think that much of it, and I thought, oh, it's like he's a coach, he's from backroom, and like how much kind of influence can he have? But then from him leaving this season, defensively we've been terrible, and I know we had that purple patch in November, early December, where we scored a ton of goals, and we were like on the verge of automatic promotion spots. But bar that, the start of the season we leaked goals. Since then we've leaked goals, and even during that period we leaked goals. It was just we were scoring a hell of a lot more than what we were conceding. So, like I said, I think I would like to see someone, if there is somebody who could come in and help him defensively wise. Yeah.
Okay. All right. One more on this one then. Ty says he has to go. We've just made the worst team in the league. League form will look good in Watford. It reminded me of the Wilder sack me lineup. We dropped our best player, kept Ayling in, who's generally awful, and players look lost. And Iheanacho isn't fit, and he's a waste of a loan. Jordan says, throw the book at Sheffield Wednesday for Danny Roll. Are you having what Ty and Jordan are saying there, Jonathan?
I don't know really. I think no. I'm a Carrick in, and I'm a still give him time. I'm a defo that. I'm with Craig though. I think defensively, he needs some help on there. I think and I see it on Twitter. Funny enough, I noticed there's a lot of kind of your people are deluded if they think Carrick's going to turn it round, and you're a bunch of idiots sort of thing if get rid, etc. But I also noticed there's a lot of responses to tweets and kind of Craig said it earlier about a lot of people want this guy to succeed. And a lot of people don't want to get back on the right, sack someone, rebuild, let him have a go again, few games win, few games losses, go through that whole cycle again. and it's kind of very keen for Carrick to work out. And I see a lot of people liking those tweets, I must say. So it seems like there's a positive vibe towards Carrick and a real sentiment that whilst everyone's miffed that he's not winning, they actually really want him to do well.
Good. Okay. Let's talk about then our second item, which is some of the new players. In fact, many of them actually aren't pulling up any trees. We've already mentioned Iheanacho not looking fit. Craig, do you agree with that from what you've seen of him so far?
Oh yeah, God, like where I sit on the east stand in the first half, we who was it on the right? What's it called? Sorry, we got from Plymouth.
Oh,
yeah, we'll come on to him in a minute. Yeah.
So him and Iheanacho were kind of like they were stood within about 5 meters of each other, pointing here, pointing there, as though. And I thought, oh, when the ball comes down here, something's going to happen. The ball would feed into them. They do a 1-2, not move and pass it back. And I thought, what? Like, I don't get what you're doing. Like, Iheanacho was coming right out to the right hand side, as though they were connected, or they'd done some kind of like tactic or play, and nothing happened, and they didn't affect the game at all. And Iheanacho, just like I said last week, I don't get the signing of him. He's not like a striker what we've had at the club since Carrick's been here. We've had like dynamic strikers with pace and movement. They'll run the channels, they'll stretch defenses, and he doesn't do any of it. I mean, he hasn't scored for Sevilla all season. He only scored 5 in the season Leicester went up or 6, when they went up promotion. And I'm thinking, what the hell have we got him for? Like, yeah, I mean, yeah. So he's a big. Sorry, I don't want to go on about. He's only played two games, and I don't. Yeah, I hate slagging players off, but I honestly don't see where he fits in. I can see glimpses on some of the other players. Dylan Jr., for example, like in Sunderland, I thought he was bright.
Hold that thought.
All right, sorry, yeah.
Hold that thought. All right, Illing Jr. is the next one, which has had a few barrels given to him. Illing Jr. is absolutely useless, says Barry. He lost every ball this match and the last one. Boro is a disaster. Jack Nateby says, whilst you're taking Carrick back, send Iheanacho back to Spain, Illing Jr. to Aston Villa. Both absolutely awful. Also, there's one on Whittaker here. Starting lineup was putting Burzog and Ditchdale on the bench was madness. Season is over. January signings are yet to improve. As $6 million for Whittaker, we've had our pants down. So not good feedback so far on the new boys. Jonathan, what's your reading on Illing Jr. and Whittaker?
Illing Jr., I'm kind of echo what everyone's saying. He's not looked good at all. He looks like he hadn't kicked a ball for years, to be honest with you. I was a bit lost with him. Although on Saturday I was in the south stand, he took a good corner, so I'll give him that. But here's what I'll say about him and Whittaker and even Giles, who's come back, is that Carrick's got a good record of sorting players out and getting them into form. I'll give you Morgan Rogers is a very good example of that. Getting Chuba Akpom firing is another good example of that. So my hope is that they come in, we look at them and think, my God, you're out of sorts. They get taken out of the team, and then in a few weeks' time, they've been on the training ground. They understand what Carrick wants. They understand what the team's about, and they come back better players is my hope. Might not all three of them might not do that, but Whittaker, I'd expect that to happen. Iheanacho, I've got doubts about Illing Jr. because I don't know him too good, to be honest with you. What I've seen was not good, but I'm hopeful that they can sort them out on the training ground and they come back better.
All right, brilliant. Can you help us? Subscriptions, we're looking for 75 this week. Help us get there. Be absolutely amazing. Right, 2 little pieces left, and then we are done for this week, so stay with us. First off, who should go up? Now, there's lots of discussions at the moment about who deserves to go up. Leeds are falling out with Burnley, saying they're boring. Burnley are calling Sheffield United lucky. Sunderland are too young and would come straight back down. So, of the teams you guys have played, which is all of them, of course, who deserves to go up in your view, Craig?
I'd say Leeds, to be fair. I think they'd be my pick to go up. We've played them 3 times. No, we haven't. We played them twice, sorry. Yeah, once in the cup, once in the league, and then we've got them in a couple of weeks. And they just looked so sharp. In the cup, I think we beat them 3-1 at their place, but it wasn't a 3-1 game, if that makes sense. And every time I've seen them play, they look they look a good, solid team, and they've got flair and the attack. And I know they create a lot of chances, and they don't always put them all away. But if you're creating so much, you only have to score a couple of them, and you've won the game. So I think them, but out there, I don't like any of the others. I don't want none of them. Especially, I don't want the Macans. They can go to Wembley in the playoffs and then get battered off somebody. Burnley are just horrible and boring. And Sheffield, I don't want Wilder to go up.
No,
I don't want.
I didn't expect you to say that. No, Jonathan.
It's a terrible question you're asking, Mark, to be honest with you. I mean, what do you want me to say? Leeds? I mean, they are the form team, and you got to say they're the best of the four. So I'll give them that. But Christ, the only thing I will say about Burnley is that Boro should watch them defend and take a few lessons. I have to say, when they played us, their defensive shape was very, very solid. So I'll give them that. But I'm sorry, Craig. I'm going to steal your lines. No, don't want Sheffield United. Don't want Sunderland. don't want Leeds either. Don't want any of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, should have been you. It should have been you. Right. Let's have a look at some. Let's look at some dodgy kits then, shall we? We've been doing this because we've now done the worst ever Boro 11. Here's some. That's the wrong one. You've done that one, right? Okay, this one, right? This one was sent to us. This was a. Yeah, I mean, there's so much right with it, but there's so much wrong with it as well, Craig. Or would you like this?
Do you know what? The full Adidas like age for me, I didn't like. Any team that had Adidas, it was like just a formatted top, and you could go. I think Chelsea had it at the time. I think there was like a French team had it, and you looked at that online, and it was the same as us, just different colours. So they didn't kind of add any personal touches from the club itself. They were just a standard format, and they just put the colours in. And the thing with the stripe, like we have that stripe, obviously it comes from like the 70s and stuff. And then they just changed it about and put it about. Yeah. And I've got one for when you said bring your worst top. I've got one, and that's an Adidas one, and they've messed the stripe up on that as well. Okay.
Let's look at some away kits as well. Now you might not mind these, but they just don't scream Middlesbrough at me, Jonathan. What's your thoughts on it?
I don't mind. That blue one, I bought my lad one of that blue one, so I'm always quite fond of that because it's one of his first kits. That was it. You know what should be up there without a shadow of a doubt in my book is, I think it's 2007, 2008 away kit, that white and gold Malarkey. Is that in your pictures? That was
it's not. No one sent me that one, no.
I hate it. That is by far and away. Oh, that's it. How can that be in this picture? That's wrong. That's just plain wrong. That's
a classic. That's a classic.
Yeah. I reckon I've got that kit, and that's going on eBay in about 20 years' time for about 500 quid, I reckon.
Well, you've got good memories in it, I think, but in terms of the ugliness of it, surely. No, you like that?
I like that. Christian Carambur, I was thinking Ince. I always think of them two in that kit.
Big Alan boxes.
All right. Any that we've missed?
Yeah, 2007-8. I can't believe it's not in there. It's a stone wall in my book.
I've got this one. And that's one of those Adidas ones.
Oh,
because they messed the stripe up. But can you see the sponsor? The sponsor on all the Adidas kits just peeled. So that one you're on about, Jonathan, with the blue Adidas one, because I collect like Match One Boro kits. And all the Adidas ones, all the sponsors cracked and they're like, so I haven't got any Adidas Match One kit with a good sponsor on. They're all ruined. So that's.
Was I alone when I saw Ramsden's? And when I first saw it, I thought it was Fish and Chips sponsoring us.
Right, let us know in the comments, what have we missed? Right, Bristol City then on Friday night, we'll be watching that. Tommy Conway is going to get a very hot reception. Our Bristol City fans have warned us of that should he start. So that'll be interesting. And of course, they are fighting for your promotion place that you've given up. So should be an interesting one. We'll review that game when we come back, of course, next week with the team. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Craig. Thank you very much for watching. Do drop us a subscribe as well before you go. Thanks, guys. Have a great